Welcome to another Bible story time. In this story, we shall see the events that trailed the tragic demise of Saul and his 3 sons. Meanwhile, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please do well to do so in order to always get notifications of our videos. Thank you. Let's take off. After the tragic end of King Saul and his sons on the battlefield, the news of Israel's defeat spread like wildfire. David, who had been hiding in Ziklag, far from the chaos, had no idea what had happened, but that was about to change. This story began with grief, but it led us into a new chapter of hope and leadership. David sat outside his tent in Ziklag, resting. His men gathered nearby. On the 3rd day after returning from battle with the Amalekites, David looked up and saw a stranger running toward him, clothes torn and dust on his head, a sign of mourning. The man knelt before David, panting, and said,
"My lord, I have come from the battlefield. I escaped from the camp of Israel."
David, alarmed, asked him,
"What happened? Tell me, please."
The Amalekite messenger replied, saying,
"The army fled. Many were killed. Saul and his son Jonathan, they are dead."
David stood in stunned silence. His eyes widened. He grabbed his robe and tore it. David and his men began to mourn deeply. They wept, fasted, and tore their clothes out of sorrow for Saul, Jonathan, and all the fallen soldiers of Israel. David, sitting down again and composed, asked the Amalekites further questions, saying,
"Where are you from?"
And the Amalekites said,
"I am the son of a foreigner, an Amalekite."
David, now firmly, asked him,
"How did you know Saul and Jonathan are dead?"
The Amalekite responded,
"I happened to be on Mount Gilboa. I saw Saul wounded and leaning on his spear. He begged me to finish him off before the Philistines got him. So I did. Then I took his crown and armlet and brought them here to you."
David's expression darkened. He called one of the young soldiers and said to the Amalekite,
"Your own mouth has condemned you. You admitted killing the Lord's anointed."
The young soldier executed the Amalekite, and David was in deep sorrow for the demise of the Israelite soldiers. David poured out his grief in a song, a lament for Saul and Jonathan. Though Saul had once hunted David, David still honored him as the anointed king. He reflected on his memories with Jonathan, saying,
"The beauty of Israel lies slain on your high places. Jonathan, your love was wonderful to me. How the mighty have fallen."
After mourning, David sought the Lord's guidance, saying,
"Lord, shall I go up to any of the cities of Judah?"
And God told him to go up. He further asked God which city to go to, and God told him to go to Hebron. David nodded and rose. He gathered his family and men and journeyed to Hebron. In Hebron, the people of Judah gathered. They anointed David as king, not over all Israel yet, but over Judah. A new beginning was underway. An elder of Judah raised a horn of oil and proclaimed,
"David, the Lord has chosen you to lead us. May you reign with wisdom and courage."
David humbly replied.
"May the Lord establish peace and loyalty among his people."
David heard that the men of Jabesh Gilead had bravely retrieved and buried Saul's body. He sent messengers to bless them. David's messenger said to them,
"My master, David, sends his word to you, saying, 'May the Lord show kindness to you for honoring Saul. I too will show you kindness. Be strong and brave, for your former king is gone, and I have been anointed king over Judah.'"
David's journey to the throne began not with celebration, but with mourning. He showed us the heart of a true leader, one who honors the past, listens to God, and moves forward with humility. Sometimes, the path to purpose begins in pain, but when we trust God, He guides us to our next chapter, just as He did for David. When loss breaks your heart, don't forget, God still writes your story. Let Him lead you, just as He led David. After the death of Saul, the kingdom of Israel was divided. David ruled over Judah from Hebron, while Saul's son Ishbosheth was made king over the other tribes by Abner, Saul's former army commander. But the two sides were uneasy. Tensions were high, and conflict was never far away. David sat in a modest royal hall, surrounded by his advisors. He was a wise and patient leader. He had already been anointed by God to be king over all Israel, but he waited for the Lord's timing. Meanwhile, God was quietly working behind the scenes to bring about his plan. At Mahanaim, Ishbosheth was standing, looking nervous. Abner stormed into the room. Ishbosheth lashed at him angrily.
Why did you sleep with my father's concubine?
Abner clenched his fists, offended, and replied,
Am I a dog's head of Judah? I've been loyal to your father's house, and this is how you treat me? I will now help David become king over all Israel.
Abner stormed out and traveled to Hebron. Abner had been the driving force behind Ishbosheth's reign, but now, offended and tired of the divided kingdom, he made his way to David, ready to offer peace. He met with David in Hebron, and a very serious discussion took place, him and David. Abner said to David with humility,
Make a covenant with me, and I will bring all Israel to you.
David replied calmly, saying,
Good. But one thing. Bring me my wife Michal, Saul's daughter, before we seal the deal.
Abner nodded, and then returned to Israel to begin uniting the tribes. Joab, David's army commander, returned from battle and heard about Abner's visit, and he spoke angrily to David, saying,
You let Abner go? He's just spying on you.
Joab stormed out before David could respond. Later, Joab secretly sent messengers to bring Abner back. Joab met Abner at the city gate. Faking friendliness, he said to Abner,
Let's step aside and talk in private.
Joab pulled Abner close and suddenly stabbed him. Joab killed Abner, not for David's sake, but to avenge the death of his brother Asahel, whom Abner had killed in battle. When David received the news, he was heartbroken and proclaimed publicly, saying,
I had nothing to do with this murder. May Joab's house never be without suffering because of this.
David led a national mourning for Abner, weeping openly. David honored Abner with a royal burial, showing all Israel that he did not support the murder. His heart was for peace and justice. Ishbosheth sat alone, looking anxious. Word came to him that Abner was dead. When Ishbosheth heard about Abner's death, his courage vanished. The people of Israel also began to lose confidence in him. Then entered Baanah and Reshab, two commanders under Ishbosheth. One night, they sneaked into Ishbosheth's home while he was resting. A blade flashed. Ishbosheth was murdered in his own bed. The two men thought they were doing David a favor. They took Ishbosheth's head and brought it to David in Hebron. David received the two men, not knowing their mission nor what they had done to Ishbosheth. Baanah said to him proudly,
Here is the head of your enemy, Ishbosheth. The Lord has avenged you.
David's expression turned serious, and he replied angrily,
When someone told me Saul was dead and thought he was bringing good news, I had him killed. And now you kill an innocent man in his own bed? Should I reward this evil?
David commanded his guards to execute Baanah and Rechab. David would not rise to power through murder. He waited on God, and he acted with justice and righteousness. In a quiet Hebron evening, David looked out over the city, thoughtful and prayerful. David's path to kingship was not filled with violence or ambition. He showed mercy, mourned his enemies, and stood for justice, even when others tried to help him through evil means. People of Israel began to gather, more and more turning their loyalty to David. This story teaches us that waiting on God's timing, doing what is right, and rejecting evil, even when it seems to benefit us, are marks of true leadership and character. David said to himself softly,
God will raise up the righteous in his time.
Do what is right, even when others choose the wrong path. Trust in God's timing, not shortcuts. A true leader is one who honors justice, mercy, and peace. And with that, dear viewers, we are drawing the curtain on this story. Thank you very much for watching. Do have a nice day, and bye for now.